A wildfire burning across thousands of acres in Collier County now has firefighters warning residents they may have to evacuate. The threat tonight and where crews are in putting this fire out. Also, it's a question many have been wondering. Will Governor Ron DeSantis run for president? Well, now he says he'll make his decision soon. And a church serving the Dunbar community for more than a century opening its doors in a new building today with a new purpose. We are there for the celebration on Fox 4 News at 10.
Live from Southwest Florida, this is Fox 4 News at 10.
And good evening. Thank you for joining us for Fox 4 News at 10 on this Sunday night. I'm Nadine Yanis. We begin in Collier County tonight, where a more than 8,000-acre wildfire is now putting residents on alert that they may need to evacuate. The Sandy wildfire now burning near the Big Cypress National Park since Thursday. Tonight, officials say it is still 0% contained. They say the phase 1 of their evacuation plan is now underway. It's letting residents who live near this fire to be prepared for potential evacuations. Not only this, there are road closures in effect tonight west of 11 Mile Road, north of US 41, east of Monument Trail, and south of Mud Lake, Little Deer, Oasis Trail, and Lost Dog. This is inland Collier County as we bring in meteorologist Andrew Shipley, and the smoke is actually coming up on the radar for this fire, Andrew.
Yeah, that's right. We've been tracking actually the smoke on the radar there for a couple days since Thursday. Now, as you take a look outside right now, you're not really seeing the smoke right there, but looking at relatively clear skies for much of the year. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but I do want to show you the smoke that we are seeing. And it kind of shows you the hot spot again north of 41, but it blows it all the way to Everglades City. That's what we've been seeing on and off throughout the day today. We're also, speaking of Collier County, been seeing showers just off the coastline there. Now quiet for now, but we did see those showers earlier today. That did bring in a little bit of rain just to the very, very coastline. I'm talking a couple hundredths of an inch, nothing really too much to write home about. But as a whole of things, we are watching a lot of dry air starting to work its way in. You can see that by that rust color there on your screen. And we're going to be looking at a lot drier air over the next day or so, and that's what's responsible for those clear skies that we are seeing out there tonight. As you can see, temperatures going to be cooling off down into the 60s as we roll into the 4 o'clock hour. Ultimately, looking at upper 60s for those overnight lows. I'll break down what you can expect for your week ahead. That coming up.
Andrew, thank you. Well, tonight, Lee County Sheriff's Office is once again putting out the word as they search for a missing man. Not seen for days now, sharing these pictures of 21-year-old Damari Ali. The Sheriff's Office said this weekend they actually used their canine units in the search. The post shared hundreds of times on social media today. So if you see this young man or know anything about his disappearance, call Southwest Florida Crime Stoppers 1-800-780-TIPS. Well, tonight, the Charlotte County investigators say a well-being check over the weekend led to the discovery of a woman's body already decomposing. And now deputies say this man, 36-year-old Justin Carver, is in jail for failing to report that death to the medical examiner's office. Charlotte County deputies say they were called out to a home on Turbank Drive in Punta Gorda for that well-being check. They say when they got to the home that Carver came out of the house acting evasive. But once inside, deputies found the body of that woman in her 50s dead on one of the floors of the bedrooms. Carver has been arrested for failing to report that death and resisting an officer without violence. Charlotte County deputies now say they're waiting on an autopsy as they investigate what happened here. In the meantime, Carver's being held in the Charlotte County Jail on a $20,000 bond. And in Collier County tonight, this man is behind bars accused of advertising a young child for sex on a dating app. This according to an investigation done by the Collier County Sheriff's Office. Detectives say Jeremy Mannerberg also sent explicit images of the victim. Investigators say they found that victim inside his home during a search. At this time, it is unclear if the victim was physically abused, but Mannerberg is being charged with computer pornography. Well, starting tomorrow, jury selection is set to start in the case of a man accused of killing a babysitter and the 11-year-old girl she was caring for back in 1990. Joseph Zeiler is accused of killing 11-year-old Robin Cornell and Lisa Story in Cape Coral. If convicted here, he faces the death penalty. Zeiler's legal team has filed multiple motions to deny evidence from being shown in court ahead of that trial, specifically asking the court to not allow DNA results in court, as Zeiler's legal team claims police may have mishandled the evidence. Of course, Fox 4 will follow through for you as this trial again begins tomorrow morning. Well, taking you to Texas tonight, police have identified the gunman in the mass shooting at a mall that killed 8 people and left 7 others hurt. Police say that shooter is 33-year-old Marcio Garcia. The attack leaving the community devastated there and renewing calls for change yet again in Texas. Fox News correspondent Casey Stiegel has the latest.
The country rocked on Saturday by another mass shooting, this time at a sprawling outlet mall in a Dallas suburb. Police say a man pulled into the parking lot and started firing at random. An officer put an end to the violence, but not before multiple people were killed.
He heard gunshots, located the gunshot, located the shooter, neutralized the shooter, neutralized the threat.
Witnesses say the victims included children. Several others remain hospitalized, some in critical condition. The gunman reportedly wore tactical gear and was armed with an AR-15 style rifle. A motive for the attack is still unclear, but shoppers inside the mall at the time described the terrifying moments when they heard gunshots.
Pop, 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 pop. And we saw sparks flying, like it was right in front of us.
Everybody ran to the back of the store, and like my sister, she tried to cover me so nobody could shoot me.
Hundreds of people either hid in place or ran out as the mall was evacuated. Those who lived through it still in shock and disbelief.
It's kind of a lot to take in because you read about it or you see it on the news all the time about these shootings. You never think it's going to happen to you.
A prayer vigil is being held this evening for a community that is now trying to heal. That's the latest from Allen, Texas. Casey Stiegel, Fox News.
Well, back here in Southwest Florida, today marks 16 years since someone shot a Fort Myers man outside of his apartment, and investigators say they still need your help in finding who pulled that trigger. The Fort Myers Police Department says Joshua Kent was shot in his head outside of his home on Royal Palm Avenue back in 2006. Investigators do believe that this incident is drug-related. If you have any information, contact Crime Stoppers, 1-800-780-TIPS. Well, after widespread speculation that he'll throw his hat into the ring for president, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis says he will now decide soon, now that the legislative session has ended, on whether or not he will run. Just yesterday, the governor made a special appearance in Wisconsin, a battleground state, as the guest of honor speaker at a Republican dinner. Fox News correspondent Nate Foy has more.
For the better part of the past year, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has declined to directly answer the question about whether or not he plans to run in the 2024 presidential race. But now that Florida's legislative session is over, the Florida governor appears to be looking forward. Listen to this.
What happens in the future? Look, people will get on that relatively soon. I mean, there's just, you either got to put up or shut up on that as well.
Those comments come after what DeSantis calls a banner legislative session for Florida Republicans. Among the highlights are a 6-week abortion ban, a permitless concealed carry law, and a bill prohibiting gender reassignment surgery for children. DeSantis believes Florida is a model for the rest of the country.
We are clearly the place to be. People are seeing that. They're voting with their feet. They're voting with their pocketbook. Our economy is outpacing the nation and has consistently for many, many years.
Of course, if DeSantis runs, he'll go head-to-head with former President Donald Trump. The two are former allies, but their relationship now is a bit more tense. Since declaring his 2024 campaign, Trump has increased his criticism of the Florida governor. The latest Fox News poll has Trump leading all Republicans with 53% support, while DeSantis right now is in second with 21% support. Now, DeSantis is making his rounds across the country. In recent months, he has visited several early primary states, including Iowa, New Hampshire, and South Carolina. He's in Wisconsin for an event today, but he says his immediate priority is going over the budget that Florida lawmakers just passed. Reporting in Atlanta, Nate Foy, Fox News.
And of course, we will be watching how that all shapes up. Well, it's also National Nurses Week, and this week is spent celebrating and thanking nurses for all that they do. This while more and more nurses, though, are leaving the field altogether. We're going to explain the trend impacting our nation's healthcare coming up next. Andrew.
And maybe you're the lucky one that gets out on the water tomorrow. Looking at southwest winds, 5 to 10 knots. Seas 1 for less. Should be a great day to be outside. Plenty of sunshine. I'll break it down coming up.
Well, National Nurses Week is officially here, and it's a time to thank nurses for all of the vital work that they do. But now more and more nurses are leaving the industry due to burnout and poor working conditions, they say. Scripps News national correspondent Stephanie Sandoval has more on the industry shift that we're seeing.
They're the backbone of the healthcare industry, yet a new survey says many registered nurses are thinking of quitting. Nearly a third of nurses surveyed say they're thinking about leaving the profession, citing stress.
There's a shortage. There's a shortage everywhere with nurses.
The solution? They say higher pay, safer work environments, and fewer patients per nurse.
We need nurses more now than ever. Our population is growing. We have folks that are retiring, registered nurses that are retiring.
New data from Scholaroo, a nonprofit educational research company, analyzed the current working conditions and how many nurses there are in each state. 46% say they're planning to change careers because of the negative effect the job has had on their health, including working long hours due to the lack of staff. It ranks the top 10 states with the highest nursing shortage in the U.S., putting Utah at number 1. But when it comes to the, quote, nursing shortage, National Nurses United, the largest union of registered nurses in the U.S., says there isn't one.
The hospital industry, their employers have engineered it.
Rather, it's a staffing crisis. She says hospitals have been adding more ancillary staff, other licensed and certified personnel that help nurses to protect their bottom line.
But that doesn't mean that if you have more of them, you can cut down on the number of registered nurses. It doesn't work that way.
It's been happening even before the COVID-19 pandemic.
It's a constant struggle to get them to not try to replace us with non-registered nurse personnel. But it isn't going to help the situation that we're in now when there are enough registered nurses in this country, but they're refusing to hire them because it affects their bottom line.
Data from the National Council of State Boards of Nursing shows there are close to 1 million nurses with active RN licenses who are not working as a nurse in the U.S. Ross says poor working conditions are driving nurses away, affecting quality of care for patients.
Our goal is not to just keep people from dying. It's to have them well, to leave better than when they came in.
Stephanie Sandoval, Scripps News.
Now, to push for better working conditions, National Nurses United is lobbying in support of 5 different bills on Capitol Hill during National Nurses Week this week, including one that addresses nurse staffing standards. That bill will actually establish minimum registered nurse-to-patient staffing ratio requirements in hospitals. One of the bill's sponsors says that bill would result in higher quality care for patients. Another bill deals with workplace violence prevention inside hospitals. Let's go ahead and shift now to weather. It is a Sunday night, and I'm sure you're looking and thinking, what is it going to be like for the start of your work week? So we'll bring in meteorologist Andrew Shipley, a more refreshing start tomorrow morning.
Yeah,
not too
It's
humid.
going to be hot, but it's not going to be the humidity.
Yeah, well, there you go. I'll take it.
We'll take that. We'll take that for sure. We're also not looking as much at the clouds the next couple of days, so make sure you put the sunscreen on if you be outside. But dew points right now in the mid-60s, so still in that tolerable zone for you. But I do expect as we move through the night and into tomorrow, be more in that comfy to refreshing zone, at least to start the work week. Won't end the work week. We're going to talk about that here in full weather. But let's take a look outside. As you're looking at pretty clear skies across the Caloosahatchee right now from the Luminary Hotel. Pretty nice night for us here. We do expect pretty nice conditions for the overnight hours. Let me show you the overnight low, about 67 degrees for you. About actually where we're supposed to be, or actually ticked below where we're usually at this time of year. Mostly clear skies in the forecast. That's really going to be the story for you through the day Monday. Check out 7 o'clock in the morning, not a cloud in the sky. And that's going to be the story through the day on Monday. Very sunny conditions for you throughout the afternoon, though will be on the hot side. How about 91 degrees in Cape Coral, Fort Myers, 92 in La Bella, Mockley, 93 in Golden Gate, even inland, Lewiston, 91 degrees, Port Charlotte, 89 in Marco as well. We're also looking at not too bad in terms of the wind department in the morning hours. Get into the afternoon, we'll also see the sea breeze as well as those easterly winds kind of colliding there, but not expecting, even with the sea breeze tomorrow, to have enough moisture in the atmosphere to cause showers, thunderstorms, but will be a little bit of a breeze as you get in towards the afternoon hours for you. But really, why we aren't going to see the storms and all the sunshine tomorrow? Well, very, very low humidity, actually 19% humidity, Lehigh Acres. Just shows you how dry I'm expecting the air to be tomorrow. With that said, got to watch fire danger. We have actually the big fire down in Collier County, over 8,000 acres there, but we've been pretty quiet in the rest of the area. Hopefully we stay that way. In order to help us, got to be careful tomorrow. Again, moderate danger in terms of fire danger tomorrow, because we are still seeing also those very dry conditions. Sarasota, DeSoto, Charlotte, all the way down to Collier County, and even drying out Glades and Henry. So we need some more rain. Not only this month, we've only had a couple hundredths of an inch here at Fort Myers, Punta Gorda, Naples. Haven't seen rain this month, but we still have a long way to go in the deficit here. 2 to 6 inches still below normal. So when can we see that rain? Well, possibly later in the week. Let me show you the rain chances. So very quiet the next couple of days. You get in towards Wednesday, Thursday, rain chances jump back up here to a 50% chance. That's going to be with a backdoor cold front. So we got high pressure overhead of us again the next couple of days, but watch what happens. That slides off into the Gulf weekends. That allows a frontal boundary to come in and look at the showers, thunderstorms up and down southwest Florida as we roll in towards your Thursday afternoon. Right now trending on the wet side, so it's fine. We need the rain, unfortunately, for those folks that still have those compromised roofs, but we're going to get through that as well. But 7-day forecast, again, dry conditions the next 2 days here, 91 degrees, continuing those 90s into the next weekend. But again, storm chances will be in the forecast through the second half of the week.
All right, Andrew, thank you. Well, take you to the Fort Myers Police Department tonight. They are celebrating one of Southwest Florida's very own, recently drafted to the NFL. Fort Myers Police posting these pictures celebrating Jartavius Quan Martin at their Youth Relations Center today. Quan is a Lehigh senior, just drafted to the Washington Commanders. Police say he also played in the Fort Myers Police Athletic League when he was younger. Of course, we are so proud of all of his success as well tonight. And tonight, hundreds attended for the first service and celebration for the grand opening of the new Mount Olive AME Church in Dunbar. That includes Fox 4's Brianna Brownlee, who is at that service today, joining us live outside their new building now off of Veronica Shoemaker. Bree.
Yes, Nadine, and while I've been out here, I was speaking to many people in the community, and they were expressing to me how Mount Olive AME Church has been pivotal for this community, dating back 134 years, and now they have a new beginning, a new mission, and now a new building. As someone who has grown up AME, I will say I do know the history that comes with it because of how the AME churches was the place for blacks to worship after they broke off, and after today, you could really tell how that tradition stands strong, not only here in Lee County, but worldwide.
We continue to press on, knowing that with God, all things are possible.
Mount Olive AME pastor James Gibbons is grateful on a Sunday for his church's grand opening, telling us after 20 long years in the making, the church, which served Dunbar for more than a century, has a new building with a renewed sense of purpose, literally taking this community's trash and turning it into treasure, as it was built on top of a junkyard.
The black community, there were a lot of, you would say, with junkyards and things.
Trustee Levon Sims, who grew up in this church,
Well, this is the culmination of a long journey.
a journey filled with setbacks stemming back 20 years as leaders worked to get funding and permits in place for a day like the opening.
Our mission and our purpose is to feed the hungry, clothe the naked, to provide shelter for those without shelter, and to educate.
And keeping that purpose with a new mission.
And we began to talk about the needs of this community. And we found out that in this community there are many folk, not just young folk, who are being sold and traded through the human trafficking.
Pastor Gibbons now working along with human trafficking activist Ramona Miller with the goal to help human trafficking victims here in Southwest Florida. Instead of those survivors finding help outside the community, the church is now helping them closer to home, stuffing backpacks with hygiene products and vouchers and clothes for survivors who escaped. But they are working to go deeper.
We want to make it a haven for those persons that we will be able to help them to know and be reminded of the fact that they are somebody special.
I also want to add that Pastor Gibbons was explaining to me how he wants to make sure that this campus is for everyone, especially the younger population. That is why this campus has basketball courts, game rooms, and hopefully a gym. And the campus is also hoping to have an athletic league to make sure that this place is a safe haven, not only on Sundays. Live from Dunbar, Brianna Brownlee, Fox 4.
All right, Bree, thank you for that update from Dunbar tonight. Well, after yesterday's coronation, there is a new king in England, but the festivities honoring King Charles are far from over. We will take you back across the pond when Fox 4 News returns. Well, a large community lunch took place in London this morning as celebration continues in honor of the King's coronation. There was a star-studded lineup paying tribute to King Charles on the third night tonight with a concert at the Windsor Castle. I have a friend in London. He's sending me all these pictures, but Alex Morgan also has more on the festivities.
The ceremony might have concluded, but the coronation weekend is far from over. People have continued to gather outside Buckingham Palace. Many of them, including tourists, say they are in awe of such a historic day that England has not seen in 70 years.
A wonderful combination of pomp and circumstance and a dedication of person to life's work.
It was really passionate to see the coronation.
Yeah, I love the tradition. I hope it just keeps on forever and ever. Beautiful.
The whole ceremony was wonderful in my mind, and I think also in your mind.
Yeah, absolutely. I loved it so very much.
2,000 people, including 90 foreign leaders, gathered at Westminster Abbey to see the 74-year-old monarch officially crowned king, as thousands gathered outside to catch a glimpse of the newly crowned king and queen. Today, William and Kate, the Prince and Princess of Wales, gave the public a more intimate look at the milestone through their perspective. This clip featured Prince Louis and Princess Charlotte often holding hands, and Prince George, who became the youngest ever heir to the throne to participate in a coronation by becoming his grandfather's page of honor. Today, they greeted fans outside Windsor Castle, stopping to shake hands and even give out hugs. It's also where the coronation concert took place, featuring musicians like Katy Perry, Lionel Richie, and Take That. Today, across the country, people held block parties and celebratory lunches. Among those that were held was one here in London by British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, and among those in attendance was First Lady Dr. Jill Biden. In London, Alex Hogan, Fox News.
And back here in our nation, the Trump-era policy Title 42 is coming to an end this week. Coming up, how it could impact conditions at our border and how Congress is now responding. Well, a deadly crash at the southern border leaves 7 people dead. What investigators believe happened here. Now on Fox 4 News at 10.
This is Fox 4 News at 10.
And thanks for staying with us here for Fox 4 News at 10 on this Sunday night. I'm Nadine Yanis. We take you to that horrific scene at the Texas border today after an SUV slammed into a crowd, killing at least 7 people and injuring 10 others. The group was waiting at a bus stop outside a migrant shelter. Fox News correspondent Griff Jenkins has the latest.
Tragedy striking early around 8:30 a.m. local time here in Brownsville, about 4 to 5 miles from the border. Take a look at the aftermath scene. What happened was a lone driver drove up on the curb near a bus stop, striking a group of individuals, killing 7, officials confirming migrants among them. We spoke with a witness who was visibly shaken, telling us what happened.
All of a sudden, bodies start flying all over. There were dead, some were missing legs. It was horrible.
The driver, a lone Hispanic male, was taken into custody. No details yet as to what the motive may have been. Meanwhile, the number of migrants surging across the border continue to rise. Here at Camp Monument in Brownsville, where they've set up temporary processing numbers sites, they've got the numbers rising almost 2,000 or more a day every day. The Border Patrol chief worrying that they may see the numbers go even higher when Title 42 lifts. Texas Governor Greg Abbott weighing in on Fox News Sunday.
President Trump sent soldiers to the border to secure the border. President Biden is sending 1,500, quote, soldiers to do paperwork. And that's not going to secure the border. We need not 1,500 soldiers. We need 15,000 or 150,000 to secure the border because of the open border policies of the Biden administration. This is a day late and tens of thousands of soldiers too few.
Of those 1,500 active duty troops, some are Marines from Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, others U.S. Army troops from Fort Bliss, Texas. One thing is for sure, they're bracing for what happens when Title 42 lifts. In Brownsville, Texas, Griff Jenkins, Fox News.
And this comes as thousands of migrants are gathering at the U.S.-Mexican border ahead of Thursday's expiration of Title 42. This is the U.S. government rule that enabled border officers to immediately expel migrants during the COVID pandemic. But as Rafael Romo reports, there is misinformation that's encouraging many migrants to think come Thursday they'll walk right into the U.S., which authorities say is just plain wrong.
Jofre Perez says his plan is to press on all the way to the border and beyond. He wants his own American dream. The Venezuelan migrant has already made it as far as Mexico, and returning home, he says, is not an option. We're already here and we can't go back, Perez says. We have to press on as far as we can get, as far as they let us get. As many other migrants waiting in Mexico for an opportunity to cross into the United States, legally or illegally, Perez is driven by hope and determination, but confused by the rampant misinformation about what's happening at the southern U.S. border. Migrants like Perez are part of an expected surge prompted by the fact that Title 42, the Trump-era policy that allowed border authorities to quickly turn away certain migrants during the COVID-19 pandemic, is expiring on May 11th. Migrants like Glenda Sarmienta, who comes from Honduras, say there are many doubts in the migrant community because she's heard that the end of Title 42 means that she will be able to enter the country, while other people have told her that it will make it even more difficult to seek asylum. U.S. officials, especially Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas, have been clear about the fact that the border will remain sealed.
The border is not open, it has not been open, and it will not be open subsequent to May 11th. And the smugglers who exploit vulnerable migrants are spreading misinformation. They are spreading false information, lies, in a way to lure vulnerable people to the southern border, and those individuals will only be returned.
Encounters between U.S. border agents and undocumented immigrants had fallen earlier this year, but have recently increased to the current level of about 7,000 per day. Migrants like Elton Rojas from Venezuela say they don't care if Title 42 comes to an end or not. Rojas says he's determined not to live in what he considers a dictatorship and is willing to take as many risks as necessary for a taste of freedom.
And that was Rafael Ramos reporting this while House Republicans are set to vote on a border security package as early as Thursday. Now, the bill would make permanent some of the border programs created during the Trump administration. This includes a policy forcing migrants to stay in Mexico while they wait the asylum process. It would also pour more resources into security at the southern border, restart border wall construction, and upgrade border technology. Now, even if it passes in the House, the bill is unlikely to pass in the Senate. Meanwhile, all eyes are on President Biden as the Department of Justice nears a decision on whether to charge his son Hunter Biden with tax and firearms violations. Now, the decision will be a cap on the 4-year-long investigation by the Justice Department, one that Republicans have criticized for moving too slowly. Still, the White House Republicans want the Department of Justice to wait until after Wednesday to decide if an indictment should happen. House Oversight Committee Chair James Comey says that that's when a press conference will take place to show new evidence that the committee has gathered.
My message to the Department of Justice is very loud and clear. Do not indict Hunter Biden before Wednesday, when you have the opportunity to see the evidence that the House Oversight Committee will produce.
Now, last week, President Biden came to his son's defense when asked how a potential indictment would impact his run for presidency, saying he trusts his son and Hunter has done nothing wrong. Well, unusual and unacceptable. That is how officials with Churchill Downs are describing the deaths of 7 horses just days before the Kentucky Derby. Coming up, what investigators have found so far. And we know it can help write a paper, maybe find information, but now artificial intelligence is helping save lives. We're going to explain the breakthrough in the medical technology when we come back.
And is your allergies bothering you? Well, oak, hickory, and grass pollen is still in that moderate range, though, with some rain on the way Thursday. You can see that drop in the lower category. I'll break it down coming up.
Well, Churchill Downs saying it shares the concern of its fans tonight after 7 horses died in the run-up to the Kentucky Derby. The track calling these incidents unusual and unacceptable. Fox News correspondent Nate Foy has more.
Questions persist after 7 horses died leading up to the Kentucky Derby. 5 of them were euthanized after suffering injuries, but 2 horse deaths remain unclear as to what caused them. The only commonality between the 2 horses is they shared the same trainer. Take a look. That trainer's name is Safi Joseph Jr. He is indefinitely suspended by Churchill Downs pending an investigation. His 2 horses were called Parents' Pride and Chasing Artie. They both died in the week leading up to the race. He claims their blood test came back normal and has no idea what happened. Listen to him here.
I'm shattered, basically, you know what I mean? Because I know it can't happen. Like, it's mind-boggling. Like, the odds of it happening twice is a trillionth. I run 4,000 almost 4,000 horses, and never happened like that. So it doesn't make sense.
The president of Churchill Downs Incorporated said of Joseph Jr., quote, "Given the unexplained sudden deaths, we have reasonable concerns about the condition of his horses and decided to suspend him indefinitely until details are analyzed and understood. This comes as a new anti-doping and medication control program is set to take effect in a couple weeks. It will start on May 22nd. That's 2 days after the Preakness Stakes, which is the second leg of horse racing's Triple Crown." Now, what makes this sport so different from others is when an athlete gets hurt, say a horse breaks its leg, that injury often means death. It's viewed as the most humane thing you can do at that point because that injury with horses often doesn't heal. But when you have 7 horses dying in the week and a half leading up to the Kentucky Derby, the most famous race in the sport, it has many questioning the sport itself. Reporting in Atlanta, I'm Nate Foy, Fox News.
Well, we are officially 1 week into sea turtle nesting season here in Southwest Florida, and the Sanibel Captiva Conservation Commission has already founded 20 loggerhead sea turtle nests on the island. The conservation said, unfortunately, some high tides and winds over the weekend left some of the new nests washed over. But the staff says that doesn't mean it's a certain loss. They say that some of the eggs can still survive in those nests. Wildlife experts, of course, will keep an eye on those nests. They ask you to do the same and remind you avoid disrupting any sea turtle nests you may come across if you head to the beach. Let's go ahead and bring in meteorologist Andrew Shipley, because if anyone was out at the beach, they noticed it was breezy, and you actually looked into how winds can impact the nests.
Yeah,
as well.
I reached out to my friend Ranger Rob, and he's my nature guy.
Yeah, he's great.
But he said to me that the winds can actually push debris up onto the nest.
Yeah.
Also, it can increase our tides, which we all know. But it was breezy. It was breezy today. Check out the wind gusts that we had out there today. 27-mile-an-hour gust Punta Gorda, 26-mile-an-hour down in Naples, 25 here in Fort Myers. So it was rather breezy out there. Now those winds have come down here tonight. And let's take a look outside. Speaking of tonight, as you're looking outside here in Cape Coral along Pine Island Road, looking at winds here tonight, still about 13 out of the east, and we're going to keep those easterly winds with us through the overnight hours into tomorrow. It's actually why it's actually warmer up along our coastal communities, but we're also looking at that east wind pushing a lot of dry air in here tonight, which means we're looking at pretty clear skies, 67 degrees through the overnight hours. Let me time out the day for you, actually. Looking at Monday morning, 7 a.m. here, and clear skies, a lot of sunshine expected, again, with higher pressure building in across the region. And we're going to see that continuing into the afternoon hours. A very, very nice day, very sunny day, but unfortunately, it's going to be a hot day. Looking at 91 degrees. Punta Gorda, Cape Coral, Lehigh Acres, Fort Myers, 88 down in Naples. How about 89 in Port Charlotte for you? Give it inland. Looking at lower 90s expected tomorrow afternoon. So you'll be outside, drink plenty of water. Sunscreen with all that sunshine we do expect out there. Now, as for winds, we're going to keep those out of the east tomorrow, though. By the afternoon hours, getting a little battle near the coastline. We're going to see that sea breeze as well as those easterly winds, kind of a collision there. But usually when you get a sea breeze collision, we do watch for showers and storms. But the air is going to be so dry out there tomorrow. Check out relative humidity, 3 o'clock, down to 19% humidity, say Lehigh Acres. There's nothing really to fire up those storms, but it's something we watch, those sea breeze collisions as we get into wet season. Obviously, we'll watch that more, but dry air in place is going to be a big story. Get below 35%. That's when we watch our fire danger. We do have moderate danger across Southwest Florida. Obviously, Collier County continue to watch the Sandy fire down down there, now nearly 9,000 acres. And we don't want any more fires, so just please be careful with anything that can create a spark out there tomorrow. As for the dry conditions, well, we need some more rain as well. Very dry conditions, Sarasota, DeSoto, all the way down to Collier County, even very drying out at least Glades and Hendry County. And if you're looking at just where we're at in terms of rain, including the rain we had yesterday evening, Fort Myers, just a couple hundreds of inches, not a whole lot across southwest Florida so far for the month of May. When is that rain going to come? Well, maybe later this week. Check out the rain chances, 20% there Wednesday. Best chance is going to be Thursday. I'll show you why in a second. And then keeping still 30% there on Friday. Check out just a week ahead here why Thursday is going to be a little higher. High pressure ahead of us the next couple of days. That slides out into the Gulf of Mexico weekends. That allows for what we call a backdoor cold front. So they usually come from west to east. Well, this one's going to come from east to west, and that's going to allow showers and thunderstorms up along our coastline for us as we roll in towards the middle to end half of next week. And you can see that there in a 7-day forecast. So dry the next couple of days. Rain chances increasing as we head in towards Mother's Day weekend. Also temperatures continuing in the 90s.
All right, Andrew, thank you. Well, some doctors believe artificial intelligence is now saving lives after a major advancement in breast cancer screening. AI is now detecting early signs of the disease, and in some cases, years before doctors would ever find it on a scan. Caroline Elliott reports on the rise that doctors are seeing in early breast cancer diagnosis as well.
Since the hospital started using AI during breast cancer screenings, doctors are finding nearly 25% more cases. In some cases, they're catching it so early, patients could skip chemo altogether.
It tells me that there's one finding on this image.
Artificial intelligence is flagging breast cancers that are so small.
You can see here.
They could go undetected on a traditional screening.
And what was surprising is that we have a practice with 9 dedicated breast radiologists, all fellowship trained. All we do is read breast imaging studies, and so I thought, we were probably pretty good at what we were doing. But this study really comes and shows us that even the dedicated and committed breast radiologists can do better utilizing artificial intelligence.
The profound AI made by iCAD studied millions of breast cancer scans and over time learned to circle problem areas on mammograms.
It had a 23% increase in cancer detection and no change in our recalls.
The Lynn Women's Health and Wellness Institute offers one of the earliest studies on AI's impact on cancer. Doctors say AI may have actually saved Luz Torres's life.
I came in on April 1st for my routine mammography, no symptoms. Had that done within a week's time, and then I got a phone call that the pathology was breast cancer.
She was diagnosed with stage 1 breast cancer in early April and just went through surgery to remove the small tumor. But all things considered, she's looking at an easier recovery.
It looks good. Again, because it was caught early stage 1, I won't need chemotherapy, so I'm very happy about that.
Well, several companies have come out with similar products that also flag cancer on scans. So this isn't just limited to breast cancer. We're learning doctors are also using AI to detect lung cancer, brain cancer, and prostate cancer as well. In Boca Raton, Florida, Caroline Elliott, Fox News.
And still to come, while artificial intelligence is helping in these life-saving measures, it's also helping businesses struggling to find employees. We've been covering this for months now. We will show you how next. Well, we have been hearing a lot lately about artificial intelligence and how it's being used to write music and write papers, but now it's moving into the restaurant world.
Hi, what can I make fresh for you today?
Yeah, that is a fast food chain in Arizona, and it says that AI is now helping fill the gaps since it's struggling to hire staff. So in partnership with Presto Automation, Carl's Jr. is now bringing out artificial intelligence to take orders at the drive-thru with one of the first locations in the country right here in the Phoenix area. It can adapt to whatever you're saying and even offer other menu items.
We're not cutting hours or cutting another person from the schedule. It's just someone else to help there.
Now, the makers of this AI software say they don't have a name yet for the AI voice, and they are taking recommendations, but they are leaning towards Carla. Well, still to come here on Fox 4 News at 11, a church serving the Dunbar community for more than a century is now opening its doors in a new building with a new purpose to serve tonight. We are there at the celebration coming up next. Until then, we will leave you with this gorgeous live shot outside of the Fox 4 studios in Cape Coral. Not many clouds in the sky. Meteorologist Andrew Shipley will have your work week forecast on Fox 4 News at 11. A wildfire burning thousands of acres in inland Collier County now has firefighters warning residents they may have to evacuate. The threat tonight and where crews are with putting it out. And a church serving the Dunbar community for more than 130 years opens its doors in a new building with a new purpose. We are there for this service and celebration.
Live from Southwest Florida, you're watching Fox 4 News at 11.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us for Fox 4 News at 11 on this Sunday night. I'm Nadine Yanis. We begin in Collier County tonight, where a nearly 9,000-acre wildfire is now putting residents on alert. They may need to evacuate. We're talking about the Sandy wildfire burning in inland Collier County near the Big Cypress National Park. It's been burning since Thursday, and tonight it is still 0% contained. Officials say phase 1 of the evacuation plan is underway, letting those residents who live near the fire to know, be prepared for potential evacuations. This as there are road closures in effect tonight west of 11 Mile Road, north of US 41, east of Monument Trail, and south of Mud Lake, Little Deer, Oasis Trail, and Lost Dog. Officials say greater smoke impacts are expected tonight and tomorrow. Crews also expect the fire to spread south along US 41. And as we bring in meteorologist Andrew Shipley, we are getting a live look now over the Luminary Hotel overlooking the Caloosahatchee. Andrew, pretty clear skies here, but you are tracking the smoke on the radar from this fire, and it could impact traffic tomorrow morning.
Yeah, not here in Fort Myers, but down south in Collier County. And you can see this is where the fire is. Again, very rural area there, just north of 41. But with those easterly winds today, we've seen that smoke blowing towards Everglades City, Port of the Islands. And we do expect that to continue here tonight into tomorrow morning as this fire actually is creeping a little bit further south, closer towards 41 here tonight. So obviously something we'll be watching over the next couple of days. Now, elsewhere at Collier County, we did have some shower storms just up along the coastline earlier here tonight. Those are now fizzling on out, but a very smidge area there, just south of Naples. Got about 0.2 of an inch. We'll take what we can get, but I got more rain chances in the forecast as we roll into the week. I'll tell you when those arrive. That coming up.
Need the rain. Thank you, Andrew. Also tonight, Lee County Sheriff's Office is putting out the word again in the search for a missing man not seen for several days, sharing these pictures of 21-year-old Damari Ali. The Sheriff's Office using their own canine units this weekend in the search. The post has been shared more than 500 times on social media since it was posted again today. If you see this young man, know anything about his disappearance, call Southwest Florida Crime Stoppers. That number 1-800-780-TIPS. Also tonight, Charlotte County investigators say a well-being check this weekend led to the discovery of a woman's body already decomposing. And now deputies say this man, 36-year-old Justin Carver, is in jail for failing to report that death to the medical examiner's office. Charlotte deputies say they were called to a home on Turbank Drive right here in Punta Gorda. And when they got there, they say Carver came out acting evasive at the home. When they went inside, deputies say they found the body of that woman in her 50s, dead on one of the floors of the bedroom. Carver was arrested for failing again to report that death and for resisting an officer without violence. Charlotte County detectives are now waiting an autopsy in their investigation. In the meantime, Carver is being held in the Charlotte County Jail on a $20,000 bond. And in Collier County tonight, this man is in bars accused of advertising a young child for sex on a dating app. That's according to an investigation done by the Collier County Sheriff's Office. Detectives say Jeremy Mannerberg was also found sending explicit images of the victim. Investigators found that victim inside his home during a search. Now, at this time, it is unclear if the victim was physically abused, detectives say. Mannerberg is now charged with computer pornography. And tomorrow morning, jury selection is set to start in the case of a man accused of killing a babysitter and the 11-year-old girl she was caring for back in 1990. Joseph Zeiler is accused of killing 11-year-old Robin Cornell and Lisa Story in Cape Coral. If convicted, he faces the death penalty. Zeiler's legal team entered multiple motions to deny evidence from being shown in court ahead of the trial. These motions specifically asked the court to not allow DNA results, as Zeiler's legal team claims police may have mishandled evidence. Also today marks 16 years since someone shot a Fort Myers man outside of his apartment. Investigators say they still need your help in finding who pulled that trigger. The Fort Myers Police Department says Joshua Kent was shot in his head outside of his home on Royal Palm Avenue back in 2006. Investigators do believe this incident was drug-related, but they still have not made an arrest. So if you have any information, again, Crime Stoppers, 780-TIPS. Also, 8 people were killed and 7 others hurt yesterday after a gunman opened fire at a Texas mall. Well, today, police have identified that shooter as 33-year-old Marcio Garcia. The attack leaving a community devastating and renewing the calls yet again for change. Fox News correspondent Casey Stiegel has the latest.
The country rocked on Saturday by another mass shooting, this time at a sprawling outlet mall in a Dallas suburb. Police say a man pulled into the parking lot and started firing at random. An officer put an end to the violence, but not before multiple people were killed.
He heard gunshots, located the gunshot, located the shooter, neutralized the shooter, neutralized the threat.
Witnesses say the victims included children. Several others remain hospitalized, some in critical condition. The gunman reportedly wore tactical gear and was armed with an AR-15 style rifle. A motive for the attack is still unclear, but shoppers inside the mall at the time described the terrifying moments when they heard gunshots.
Pop, 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 pop. And we saw sparks flying, like it was right in front of us.
Everybody ran to the back of the store, and like my sister she tried to cover me so nobody could shoot me.
Hundreds of people either hid in place or ran out as the mall was evacuated. Those who lived through it still in shock and disbelief.
It's kind of a lot to take in because you read about it or you see it on the news all the time about these shootings. You never think it's going to happen to you.
A prayer vigil is being held this evening for a community that is now trying to heal. That's the latest from Allen, Texas. Casey Stiegel, Fox News.
And back here at home, hundreds attended the first service and celebration for the grand opening of the new Mount Olive AME Church in Dunbar. Fox 4's Brianna Browley was there and reports this opening is also a new beginning to help those in the community.
When speaking to people out here in the community, many of them were explaining to me how Mount Olive AME Church is pivotal to this community, dating back 134 years. Now the church has a new beginning, a new mission, and a new building. Now, as someone who grew up AME, I know the history that has came with it, mainly because the AME churches was a place of worship for blacks after they broke off. And now, especially after the grand opening, it shows that the tradition continues, not only worldwide, but here in Lee County.
We continue to press on, knowing that with God, all things are possible.
Mount Olive AME pastor James Gibbons is grateful on a Sunday for his church's grand opening, telling us after 20 long years in the making, the church, which served Dunbar for more than a century, has a new building with a renewed sense of purpose, literally taking this community's trash and turning it into treasure, as it was built on top of a junkyard.
The black community, there were a lot of, we would say, with junkyards and things.
Trustee Levon Sims, who grew up in this church,
well, this is the culmination of a long journey.
A journey filled with setbacks, stemming back 20 years as leaders work to get funding and permits in place for a day like the opening.
Our mission and our purpose is to feed the hungry, clothe the naked, to provide shelter for those without shelter, and to educate.
And keeping that purpose with a new mission.
And we began to talk about the needs of this community. And we found out that in this community there are many folk, not just young folk, who are being sold and traded through the human trafficking.
Pastor Gibbons now working along with human trafficking activist Ramona Miller with the goal to help human trafficking victims here in Southwest Florida. Instead of those survivors finding help outside the community, the church is now helping them closer to home, stuffing backpacks with hygiene products and vouchers and clothes for survivors who escaped. But they are working to go deeper.
We want to make it a haven for those persons that we will be able to help them to know and be reminded of the fact that they are somebody special.
I was speaking with Pastor Gibbons. He was explaining to me how he wants his campus to be a safe haven for everyone, especially that younger population, which is why this campus has a basketball court, game rooms, and hopefully a gymnasium in the near future. He says he wants this campus to be for everyone to have a safe haven, not only on Sundays. From Dunbar, Brianna Browley, Fox 4.
Well, back here in Florida, 2 Florida medics are out of a job after officials say they declared a man dead while he was still alive. Their supervisor says it was not a training issue, but a lack of human compassion. Lydia Vasquez has the story from Clearwater tonight.
In February, Phoebe Maxwell says she found her dad, Thomas Maxwell, on the floor, faintly breathing. She called 911 and began CPR.
When I was giving my dad CPR, his chest was rising and falling.
But when Clearwater Fire and Rescue showed up, Maxwell says the medics told her to stop and that her dad was dead.
I said, he is still alive. He's not dead.
That memory still haunts Phoebe as she recalls hearing her father gasp for air. We're told law enforcement showed up and witnessed agonal respiration, essentially a gasping breath, after medics on scene had already left, failing to reassess Thomas and placing a sheet over his body.
The fact that the patient had an agonal respiration should have indicated to the 2 medics they should have reassessed their initial findings. This is where they failed and showed no concern for family pleas or a second consideration for the patient.
Chief Scott Ellers tells me both medics had years of service, and this was not an equipment issue, but a lack of compassion. Both are now out of a job for not following proper protocol. But Phoebe says the trauma lives on.
I have nightmares all the time. I don't sleep well. I'm getting up, checking on him all the time.
Phoebe says her dad, who is still alive, was angry at first. Now he's resentful.
He says it's hard. You know, he doesn't ever want to deal with 911 again.
When I told Chief Eller this, it nearly brought him to tears.
That cuts to the core of my heart. Again, I've been doing this for 45 years. Our whole purpose for this, for the people that are out there. That is why we are what we are. That is why we're paramedics. That is why we're firefighters. They call us for when they need help. It doesn't matter. And we respond. We respond in the most expedient manner with compassion. And it tears me apart to see individuals in this profession that do not have the compassion.
Meanwhile, Phoebe says she still deals with the pain of not knowing why this even
A wildfire burning thousands of acres in inland Collier County now has firefighters warning residents they may have to evacuate. The threat tonight and where crews are with putting it out. And a church serving the Dunbar community for more than 130 years opens its doors in a new building with a new purpose. We are there for this service and celebration.
Live from Southwest Florida, you're watching Fox 4 News at 11.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for Fox 4 News at 11 on this Sunday night. I'm Nadine Yanis. We begin in Collier County.
Live from Southwest Florida, you're watching Fox 4 News at 11.
And welcome back to Fox 4 News at 11. I'm Nadine Yanis. We are now officially 1 week into sea turtle nesting season here in Southwest Florida, and the Sanibel Captiva Conservation Foundation has already counted 20 loggerhead sea turtle nests on the island alone. Now, the conservation says, unfortunately, some high tides and winds over this weekend left some of those new nests washed over, but staff says it does not necessarily mean they are a total loss, as some of those eggs can still survive in the nests. Of course, wildlife experts will keep an eye on those nests. They ask you to do the same, avoiding disrupting any sea turtle nests that you may see along our coast. Let's go ahead and bring in meteorologist Andrew Shipley, because for the most part, it was a beautiful weekend, even if you're out on the beach. But help explain how the winds can impact these nests.
Yeah, so I was figuring this out, doing some research here tonight, and it sounds like the winds, because we have all still had Ian damage out there, a lot of floating stuff that can blow that onto the nest.
Right.
Also, we all know wind increases the surf a little bit, so that can blow up on there.
And it was a breezy weekend.
It was a breezy day. Check out the winds that we saw today. Looking at gusts 25 miles an hour or so across much of Southwest Florida. Say 27 miles an hour. Punta Gorda 25 miles an hour here in Fort Myers. Now, winds have died down a little bit here tonight, and you can see as you look outside here, looking at pretty clear skies there as well. It's another big part of the story of things. But looking about east winds here tonight, 13 miles or so. But clear skies is going to definitely be the story of the night. Looking at 67 degrees to go along with that for the overnight low. But check out tomorrow morning. Absolutely clear skies. We've got a lot of dry air building in across Southwest Florida for us. And this is not just going to be with us here tonight. It's going to be with us tomorrow, as well as on Tuesday. Then we'll start to get that dry air on out of here. But with dry air in place, a lot of sunshine is expected for you on your Monday. Also, pretty hot temperatures. Check these out. 91 degrees, Cape Coral, Punta Gorda, Lehigh Acres, Fort Myers, even down in Marco Island, say 89 degrees there, 90 out in Moorhaven, 92, Mockley, Golden Gate, toasty day across Southwest Florida. Now, as for winds, even tomorrow morning, a little bit of a breeze, but we still see that picking up into the afternoon, where we are going to see, though, is a bit of a sea breeze collision. We got winds coming off the Gulf, plus the east winds, the dominant winds that we continue to see out there tomorrow. We don't have the moisture, though. If we get that sea breeze collision, say in a month from now, we'll be watching showers, thunderstorms developing up and down I-75. Just not going to see that, because check out humidity tomorrow with all the dry air in place. 19% humidity, say Lehigh Acres tomorrow afternoon. So very dry air is working in. That's why we're expecting all that sunshine out there. But the other thing is, we got to watch for fire danger. When you get humidity down that low, especially even with a little bit of a breeze, we do see that elevated fire danger. Moderate danger across Southwest Florida. And remember, Collier County has that 9,000 acres there in Big Cypress National Preserve. So it can happen. So we just wanted you to be careful out there. We don't need any other big fires, obviously, as we're winding down our fire season. But things are still very dry out there, especially Sarasota, DeSoto, all the way down to Collier County, and drying out Glades and Henry County there. So we need some more rain, and it looks like maybe that comes later in the week. But just check out rainfall so far for the month. Just a couple hundredths of an inch there here in Fort Myers. But we need a lot more than that, anywhere from 2 to 6 inches, still below normal since the start of the year. So hopefully we'll get that rain later this week. Let's check out those rainfall chances for you. Again, dry the next 2 days. Jumps 20% there on Wednesday, but Thursday I think is the best chance of getting any rain. That's going to be coming in the form of a backdoor cold front, and then we're going to keep some isolated to scattered scattered rain chances for you as we head in towards your weekend there. But check this out here. So you got high pressure the next couple of days. That's why we're nice and dry out there tomorrow and Tuesday. That kind of moves off into the Gulf and weekends, but allows this frontal boundary to creep on in from the east. Usually we see this from the west. That's why we call it a backdoor front. And you can see all that rain up and down the southwest Florida coastline for you. So I do expect, again, Thursday afternoon to be a rather wet day. That's why we got that 50% chance of showers and storms. Morning hours probably going to be fine. But 7-day forecast, you can see sunny skies at least the next 2 days. Increasing rain chances as well. But temperatures hanging out in the low 90s through the work week. Nadine.
Andrew, thank you. Well, also on Thursday, House Republicans are set to vote on a border security package. That bill would make permanent some of the border programs created during the Trump administration. This includes a policy forcing migrants to stay in Mexico while they await the asylum process. It would also pour more resources into security at the southern border, restart border wall construction, and upgrade border technology. So even if it passes in the House, though, it is likely to not pass the Senate. Well, coming up after yesterday's coronation, we now have a new king in England, but the festivities honoring King Charles are far from over. We will take you to the parties still happening across the pond when Fox 4 News returns. Well, tonight, the Fort Myers Police Department is celebrating one of Southwest Florida's very own recently drafted into the NFL. Fort Myers Police posting these pictures celebrating Jartavius Quan Martin at the Youth Relations Center today. Quan is a Lehigh senior who was drafted to the Washington Commanders. Police say he also played in the Fort Myers Police Athletic League when he was younger. Proud of all of his success tonight. Also, across the pond, a large community lunch took place in London this morning as the coronation celebrations continue. It was a star-studded lineup paying tribute to King Charles for the third night in a row with a concert at Windsor Castle. Alex Hogan has more.
The ceremony might have concluded, but the coronation weekend is far from over. People have continued to gather outside Buckingham Palace. Many of them, including tourists, say they are in awe of such a historic day that England has not seen in 70 years.
A wonderful combination of pomp and circumstance and a dedication of person to life's work.
It was really passionate to see the coronation.
Yeah, I love the tradition. I hope it just keeps on forever and ever. Beautiful.
The whole ceremony was wonderful in my mind, and I think also in your mind.
Yeah, absolutely. I loved it so very much.
2,000 people, including 90 foreign leaders, gathered at Westminster Abbey to see the 74-year-old monarch officially crowned king, as thousands gathered outside to catch a glimpse of the newly crowned king and queen. Today, William and Kate, the Prince and Princess of Wales, gave the public a more intimate look at the milestone through their perspective. This clip featured Prince Louis and Princess Charlotte often holding hands, and Prince George, who became the youngest ever heir to the throne to participate in a coronation by becoming his grandfather's page of honor. Today, they greeted fans outside Windsor Castle, stopping to shake hands and even give out hugs. It's also where the coronation concert took place, featuring musicians like Katy Perry, Lionel Richie, and Take That. Today, across the country, people held block parties and celebratory lunches. Among those that were held was one here in London by British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, and among those in attendance was First Lady Dr. Jill Biden. In London, Alex Hogan, Fox News.
And we are also hearing a lot lately about artificial intelligence and how it's being used to do things like write music and write papers. Well, it's also moving into the restaurant world.
Hi, what can I make fresh for you today?
Yeah, a fast food chain in Arizona says AI is now helping fill the gaps since it's struggling to hire staff. So in partnership with Presto Automation, Carl's Jr. is now bringing out artificial intelligence to take orders at drive-thrus at one of its first locations in the Phoenix area. It can adapt to whatever you're saying, even offer other items on the menu.
We're not cutting hours or cutting another person from the schedule. It's just someone else to help there.
Now, the makers of the AI software say they don't have a name yet for the AI voice, and they are taking recommendations, but they are leaning towards Carla. And of course, we hope that AI doesn't take all of our jobs. In the meantime, we have to go back to work tomorrow morning, and of course, Fox 4 will follow through for you on your work week forecast and all of the latest headlines. Remember, you can always stay up to speed on what's happening where you